What's up, SNA fans? This Super Ninja Austin back here with another video. Here's the AEW Dynamite review on March 27, 2024. I'm live in Quebec City, Canada, and it may not have been a special episode of AEW Dynamite a couple weeks ago at AEW Big Business, but still it was a very must-see episode of AEW Dynamite. That's the best way to describe tonight's AEW Wednesday night show. We start off with the Aerial Assassin taking on against New Japan's Katsuyori Shibata. And it may not have been like exactly per se a AEW World Championship match, but still a good match that still was very entertaining. Like that could have been a match of the night, but that belongs in the main event spot. Like because Swerve Strickland and Konosuke Takeshita killed it in that spot, and they showed what was the reason. The reason why, and they showed a good reason why this was on that spot on the card of tonight's Dynamite, and Don Callis even described it like and A was not on the line, but yeah, it still looked like it, like in a way. And I agree with one thing from Don Callis for him saying that, even though I mean it in a totally different reason, because Swerve Strickland is the man that still the man that I still think that should be the next AEW World Champion, whether if it's at Dynasty, Double or Nothing, or even on the next AEW Dynamite or Collision, whenever he's scheduled for the World Championship. But anyways, let's talk about the opener match right now, where Shibata kind of start off by winning this grappling war by facing Will Ospreay right into the ground. And Adam flattened down just where he started trying to go after his right arm and try to go for an arm bar, which at first he was having a hard time doing so because Will Ospreay tried to close it so he wouldn't do the maneuver, but it was too late because not too late, but he managed to get out. I get him to go back, have his arm back, and have it locked in on his arm. Where then Will Ospreay then got back on his feet. This is where he got Shibata into a headlock, what's that headlock maneuver? But Will Ospreay managed to still was on his feet, and this is where he turns around, and then this is where he grabbed his arm and slammed him right into the ground into an STO position. And this is where I believe he tried to go for like an ankle lock, but this is where Shibata started doing impressive moves with his legs, and then grab onto Ospreay's head, slam him right to the ground. Is where what's his name? Excuse me, my bad. But anyways, Katsuyori Shibata then put him into a headlock again. But Will Ospreay grabbed onto his legs is where he got him into like a leg headlock. But this is where we got what's his name? Shibata flips out of it. This is where he nearly hit him with a striking kick, but this is where Will Ospreay stepped right back, which was a genius move of the Aerial Assassin to step back, or else it would have been over sooner than it actually was. And this is where Will Ospreay's like, I gotta admit that was one close shot that you got me then, but unfortunately for you, I knew that was coming, and I didn't fall for the trap. And this is where. And this is where Will Ospreay and what's his name? Shibata, Ospreay and Shibata did a grappling arm war, like into a grappling arm war. But yeah, this is where what's his name? Shibata then start pushing Ospreay right into the left side corner. This is where Shibata didn't. This is where we got Shibata then trying to put him into some kind of hold right into the right. But this is where Will Ospreay pushing him right into that side. It's where Will Ospreay started hitting knife edge chops, which he earned himself like an opportunity for Kazuchika Okada's newly won AEW Continental Crown Championship. But this is where it provoked Shibata more than it did the Ring General, and it's where it got him forearms right to the face, and this is where until he went right to the diagonal corner in the bottom right, and then try to go for the upper left, but he gets running boot, flying boot right to the face, like if he got claymored by the aerial assassin. This is where Will Ospreay is like, all right, everybody, continue to watch. But I got another cool unreal move where that came from. This is where he didn't start warming up by hitting his forearm onto Shibata about like 10 times. Until he got down to the ground into the bottom right corner. This is where he hits a running middle missile drop kick right into the face. And we were all wondering, like, what was Will Ospreay's going to do next that was going to look more unreal. But this is where I believe he did just that after Shibata rolled out of the ring in the bottom corner. When he went out to the ropes, he tried to go for a diving crossbody. I'll say it was not fully unreal, but he still managed to land right on top of him, a champion. And it where Will Ospreay was like, yeah, look, you know, and it's where Ospreay's like, yeah, wrestling forever, brothers, and this is where fans like wrestle Ospreay, and it's where they also were chanting Ospreay, 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 and then I was thinking to myself like the company, but anyway, then hit a diving kick right to his face, like right after he threw him out of the ring, and this is where he thought that he was still down, but he should have double checked, if not triple. But this is where we got Shibata. Then after kicking him right into the face with that baseball slide, this is where he picks him up. This is where Ospreay hits the forearm right into his face. This is where Shibata's like, you think that's gonna knock me down? Like, I want to see you do it again. This is where Ospreay didn't do it again, like make it 3 times until Shibata hit a big, gigantic European uppercut right into his jaw on the left side. This is where he tried to go for a suplex, which he successfully did, like hitting his upper back right onto the ramp. This is where then he hits a right-legged roundhouse kick right into the back of the left shoulder of the aerial assassin. This is where Shibata then rolled back in the ring. And this is where and this the referee was doing this count, like, and then this until Ospreay got in by the count of 7 or 8. I'll say maybe 8. But anyway, this is where we got Shibata then started messing with his legs as soon as he got in the ring, started stomping on them and killed until Ospreay then started coming back and started hitting some right hand punches before Shibata can even have a chance to on the figure 4 leg lock. This is where they start hitting knife edge chops, which Gunther put him down to put him up to number 6, I should say, because whoever's on top is number 1 rather than 1 million. But anyway, he put him on number 6, and it like he was gradually putting him up there so he can so he can be near Eddie Kingston and Kazuchika Okada, and he could possibly, who knows, he can earn himself an opportunity for the AEW AEW Continental Crown Championship, which is the same belt that that's the same belt that Okada's holding on, that he beat Eddie Kingston with, and also the belt that the Ring General calls the abomination of the real Intercontinental Champion, that he made prestigious. But anyways, this is where we got, and Shibata started hitting chops right onto him and started giving him a receipt, cashing in a receipt on him for hitting chops repeatedly onto him. This is where they start going at it with strikes right to each other, which Shibata probably earned himself the number 7 list after hitting the chops right onto him. And I wouldn't doubt that none of these men would be number 1 contenders. Any of these guys could be number 1 contender for the AEW Continental Crown Championship. But I don't think it'll be immediately, but it could be like anytime after AEW Dynasty. But anyways, this is where we got Shibata then over the barricade right into the audience until we got him back back into the right side of the ring side. It looked like he's about to throw him back in the ring, but Will Ospreay slides over the barricade when he got Irish whip. This is where Shibata didn't try to attack him, but this is where Will Ospreay didn't hit a forearm right to the face and the springboard forearm, like I believe trying to pay tribute to the Phenomenal One. Let's hope AJ Styles was angry with seeing this, along with him throwing Shibata back in the ring and hit another phenomenal forearm right to the face until he tried. I mean, not until. I'm not even talking about, but anyway, this is where he hits a phenomenal forearm right onto what's his name, Katsuyori Shibata. And this is where he tried to go for a pin, but we got a 2.7 count. This is where we got Will Ospreay was like, I'll be damned, like that didn't work. Like, okay, well, what's next on my list of moves of what to do next under my arsenal? This is where he started kicking kicking him. Well, I said her because Shibata is not a female; he's a male. But this is where he started kicking him in the face, and this is where Ospreay and Shibata start going head to head. Yeah, and this is where Shibata's like, remember what I did to you the last time when we fought in the ring, which that was like almost a decade ago. And this is where Ospreay like, yeah, and that's why I'm fighting you right now to get some redemption from that match. And I'm a totally different breed in this business. And then this is where he try to show him by hitting some forearm. He's like, you see? And this is where Shibata's like, I don't know. Like, it's still the same old Ospreay, the weakling that couldn't beat me in our first encounter. And this is where he hits a big forearm right to the face after he hit a multi forearm right to his face, or elbow strike right into his face. This is where the Shibata then picks up Ospreay, Irish whip him right to the bottom side. This is where he hits a big haluva boot right into the face, and then start falling back with some forearms repeatedly right into Ospreay's face until he went right into the diagonal corner in the upper left while leaving Ospreay hanging. I think he was trying to go for a big boot to the face, but this is where Ospreay intercepts and hit a European uppercut right to the face. This is where then he runs right back, but this is where he gets a haluva boot by Ospreay. This is where then Shibata's like, still not breaking, like I'm not feeling no phases at all. This is where he started hitting chops and some shoves and some punches, like if he's John Moxley. But this is where Gunther then put Shibata right into the number 5 spot, like because he triggered the ring general even more, and he just cannot stand it when any of these AEW guys mock him in the rivals company. Or the latter's company, I should say. Yeah. But this is where we got then Shibata hits a missile dropkick right to the face of Will Ospreay. This is where he gets a single underhook suplex, and this is where we got Shibata try to go for a pinball and got a 2.8, I believe. I was about to hit, I believe, his finishing maneuver, like his submission hold, which is that very what's that, like a very rare abdominal stretch that not even who's the master of that stretch? Nobody, whoever wrestling inventor of that submission move can be able to do so. Let me know in the comments below who exactly invented the abdominal stretch. I'm kind of clueless on that right now, but I'm gonna start doing more of my wrestling research on even for random moves like this. But anyway, this is where Will Ospreay to try to go for one of his own, but this is where Katsuyori Shibata then went back and started hitting, tried to go for an abdominal stretch. This is where he got him in a, what's that position, like in a pump handle position. Well, Ospreay's trying to roll out, rather than go for a German suplex, but still, Ospreay flips out of it. This is where he tried to go for a German suplex, which he successfully hit onto the New Japan star. This is where Shibata then got back up very easily. I was like, how could he do that? Like, he's like a small Japanese version of Braun Strowman. Like when Brock Lesnar did that, it depends on how to hit the maneuver and where you're hitting it at. So I guess that's one of the reasons why they easily got back up. Like because Will Ospreay also got back up as well. I'm not sure what that got to do with what I was just saying while I was making an example. But anyways, this is where we got Will Ospreay then goes for try to go for my signature move, which my other signature move, not the assassin dollar drop like every wrestler would do. But yeah, he tried to go for like a flip, like a forward flip, and then back, and try to go with step up instant kick, which like some kind of a somersault springboard step up instant kick, which he unsuccessfully executed right on Shibata because Shibata grabbed onto his leg. This is where he tried to go for like the right leg knee down STF version of the STF submission hold right into the face, right onto the neck, around the neck and face of Will Ospreay. And that's where Ospreay didn't grab onto the ropes. This is where we got then Shibata then was very disappointed that Will Ospreay grabbed onto the ropes because he knew he had him right where he wanted. This is where he started going for a forearm right into the face. This is where Shibata hits the forearm right to his face. This is where he started either kick him right to the face. This is where then Shibata then grab. Right, this is where Shibata then picks up Will Ospreay. This is where he put him in a snapmare position. This is where he tried to go for a side swiping kick. But this is where he turns around and hit a kick right into the back of the aerial assassin. I'm sorry, I keep repeatedly calling him the aerial assassin. But this is where he tried to go for it again. But the lightning doesn't strike in the same direction in a row. This is where he grabs onto his leg. This is where he did a dragon screw. This is where then Ospreay then hits forearms repeatedly right onto Shibata. This is where Shibata answered back with a forearm of his own. This is where then Ospreay then try to go for a strike right onto his face. This is where fans were cheering for Ospreay. And this is where they hilariously booed Shibata. And I was like, well, why? Like, if he's a face, like, how come you – even though, Will Ospreay's the fan favorite of this match, but that doesn't mean you dump on poor Shibata when he's doing his job of fighting the former IWGP United States champion. And this is where once they got going at it, taking turns, going back at each other. This is where Ospreay. This is where he goes for a roundhouse kick right to the face, like taking a page out of Brian Hoover. This is where we got Ospreay then lifting up his elbow pad to try to go for that striking back elbow strike. But this is where we got this is where he tried to go for a clothesline, but he ducks, and this is where Shibata ducks, and this is where he got him in some kind of rear naked choke submission mode. And knew he choked out the Will Ospreay, and he did it so he got it locked in so murk him just by choking him to death. Will Ospreay, so this like a true champ that he is, like the champion of selling, like he make it look like somebody's trying to suffocate him to death. Like if someone put like a plastic bag over or a piece or like a wrap of plastic around his head. Like if he was nearly at 2 steps away from the deadly cliff of death, I should say. But when the referee started going for putting on his checking his pulse and his arm, like going 1 down and then 2 down, and once he put his arm down for the 3rd attempt, looked like there's no chance in hell that Ospreay is gonna be getting back up. Guess who got the arm back up? Even though they used the other hand to do so in the process, none other than Will Ospreay to make sure he does not lose by getting choked out by Shibata. This is where he got out of it. This is where he rolled what's his name Shibata off of him. This is where Shibata ran right through the left corner side trying to close on Will Ospreay when he was getting back up on, and the most I'll say the most not KO'd move I would say in all of professional wrestling, or even the most wrestling. Let me rephrase that. But anyway, this is where we got what's his name hits the attic roundhouse kick right into the head. This is where he tried to go for a pin, but this is where Ospreay kicks out at one even himself, respectively. This is where Shibata tried to go for a clothesline, but this is where Ospreay was thinking the same thing. He closed on him, but this is where they started going for this is where Ospreay super kick him right to the face. This is where he tried to go for the Os cutter, but this is where we got Now this is where we got what's his name? Ospreay counter out of the sleeper hold and did a spinning back suplex along with a back elbow strike right into the face of Shibata when he was on his knees. This is where the Will Ospreay finally got him right where he wants him. Like it is where he tried to go for he got him right where he wanted him, went for the double underhook pile driver, like tiger driver, right onto Shibata. This is where he hits the running clothesline right in the back of the head. This is where and this is where he got the 1, 2, 3, and your winner of this match in the opener, Will Ospreay, or should I say his full proper name, William Ospreay. And what's your thoughts onto this match? And it may not be like a main event worthy match, like even though it would have worked in the main event scene, but it just still couldn't beat Swerve Strickland versus Konosuke Takeshita. But at the same time, like it still didn't have to be like main event worthy just to make it a must see match, like which most of the matches were. Like and it was mostly match point that it could have just been a pay-per-view rather than their weekly show. Like they should have turned this match into like a pay-per-view like special show, like or how many matches they were. And it looked like if they were it looked like if it was for the championship rather than being number one contenders matches or being matches that just care about the win-loss record like statistic. But anyway, this is where we got Will Ospreay and Shibata kneeled and bowed to each other, gave each other a bow on of showing respect. Of they appreciate how they did a successful job as they did an absolute successful job of performing in a very well and impressive manner, if that makes sense. Like they did it in the very what's that word? In the most what's that? I would say magnificent way. They performed magnificently, which they deserve about at least 4.5 stars, if not 5 alone. But anyway, this is where Will Ospreay left the building. This is where that's where he then high-fived the wave of fans in the front row. This is where they did a vignette of Bryan Danielson, like on where he started his wrestling career till now until up to his AEW career, and even name dropped Shawn Michaels of being the one that trained him at his wrestling school, which that's the truth. But you would thought you would never hear anything about Shawn Michaels in AEW television, but they did so, and that shows that WWE's arch rival is showed their acknowledgement to one of their legendary wrestlers. But yeah, it's where we got Bryan Danielson. They showed Bryan Danielson when he was in Ring of Honor, like for nearly a decade. And they showed him win like belts like the Ring of Honor World Championship and the Peer Championship, and even at both at the same time. And also won Indie Gold as well in the independent scene while he was still working with Ring of Honor. And then and he said, and that's where Bryan Danielson was the narrator of this vignette, and he said like he put this man here like put multiple sacrifices of getting where he is today, and being the grappling star that he is, and he dealt with injuries, and he dealt with dealt with injuries and some other obstacles, like which they kind of clearly referenced his neck injury from WWE back in 2016 till 2018, and then and they even said like once he and this is where they said he joined AEW in 2021, and he made his All Elite Wrestling debut and then this is where he showed that he's still an all-time great, no matter who he wrestles, and he shows that he's the best professional wrestler in the world. And then this is where And then this is where Brian Danielson did said that this is indeed his last year, and he's going to be calling the shots, and before he halfway hang up his boots, because he's going to be semi-retired, I guess you could say, because he said he's not going to be fully retired, but he's not going to be in a full-time. He's not going to be in a full-time, what's that schedule for AEW as an active competitor, and if you know what I mean. But yeah. But next but they will continue to advertise Will Ospreay against Bryan Danielson, and who thinks is going to win that match. I keep asking a bit too much, like if it's the WrestleMania match, but let me know in the comments below what's your opinions. But let's move on to the next match, which was the Young Bucks taking on what's his name, taking on Private Party. And then this is where we got the remarkable or the self-proclaimed remarkable Renee Paquette, I should say. And they were and she was there to interview the Young Bucks, which we didn't see the Rainmaker anywhere around him. You would expect him to have some kind of plans to celebrate, whether if it's on or off screen. And I was like, I was thinking to myself, like, maybe he's worried about Gunther happen to be there, but I don't think WWE's gonna be up in the northern country over America. Because I think they're heading on their way to the Northeast in New York, because they got next week's Monday Night Raw is going to be in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn at 40, because they're going to be in Philadelphia, which they're going to be like a state or they're going to go a state or two. They're going to go a state or two at go to where they're going to go to state or two at after they go to Raw at the Barclays Center, because it's gonna be the final Raw before they go to Philly. But anyways, this is where but let's just say we see Kazuchika Okada, but nowhere around the arena, only backstage, of course. But I'm gonna get to that in just a moment. And this is where the remarkable Renee Paquette asked about those tag team championships that to go. And this is where. And then this is where they're like, and we're going to be exactly like the Rainmaker, and which we're going to start by tonight, of defeating our first opponents in this tournament, and that is the Private Party, right in the back in our locker room. We got this from here. You don't have to worry about doing anything. And back to your question, Renee, our biggest goal, the most important goal out of all this stuff, is to get our AEW World Tag Team titles back in our third reign, and this was and that made me upset when we lost those titles in the first place. But enough about that. That's okay. Because we're gonna make up from the past mistakes. But what? And this was but tonight, we're gonna be Private Party, and then we're. And this is where he must have learned. And this is where he must have learned about the rules of professional wrestling, about hitting your signature move and your finishing maneuver successfully the first or second time. And if it doesn't work the first time, it's gonna be a guaranteed the second time. You must have did his wrestling homework, I guess you could say, on page 4003, which he said the lightning's not gonna strike in the same direction, which that's true. And then. And he's like, we're gonna be in the same coach, and we're getting our damn titles back. And anyways, and this is where what's name, Matthew Jackson then said you're doing an amazing job, Renee Paquette. And this is where he basically insinuated and understand why that Excalibur calls her the remarkable Renee Paquette. And he's like, lick your mouth a bit, that's all about it. We're not gonna find you. And this was and this is where they walked out of the room, and this is where it's all right, we're gonna be future champions, and it's gonna start tonight. Which it was up next, and this is where Renee Paquette's okay, at least they didn't find me at least $1,000, or even $500, even though it's not as bad as getting $1,000, But yeah, I guess I got away with it for frowning, but I better smile next time, or else it won't be pretty. But next up, we got We got the tag team match with Private Party and the Street Profits. The start things right onto the first round on the onto the eliminator at AEW. What's that? The AEW tournament to see who's gonna face either best friends in what's their names, the Undisputed Kingdom, which it started off with, I believe, Matthew Jackson and Isaiah Cassidy. This is where Matthew Jackson then tried to offer his hand to shake to Isaiah Cassidy. This is where Isaiah Cassidy, whatever, I don't trust you. Like, I know what you're gonna do. Like, you're gonna hit a cheap shot right on me, and I'm not buying it. Like, you understand me? And this is where he gets shoved right into the face by Matt Hardy. He's like, I'm not Matt Hardy. Matthew Jackson, wrong Matt. But anyways, this is where he's like, you better watch who you talk to. Like, I'm your boss, the EVP, one half the EVPs of all Elite Wrestling. This is where what's his name? Isaiah Cassidy hit the strike right hand right to his face. I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care if you're the CEO or the president of this company, which that's Tony Khan's position. But this is where he kicks him right to the midsection. This is where Matthew Jack kicks Isaiah Cassidy. He pushed him right to the left side. But this is where Isaiah Cassidy rolled him up, dodges with the Private Party member. This is where he tags in his brother Nicholas. This is where Nicholas then kicks him right into the guy. Like, you lucky you didn't shove me in the face like that, or I would give you a $5,000 fine automatically. This is where they double Irish whip it to him. This is where they both did the least most genius move in sports entertainment / pro wrestling, which I should just say pro wrestling because they're mostly pro wrestling, not sports entertainment. Even though Chris Jericho discovered that in AEW, but anyway, this is where they bow their heads before he was about to come their way. This is where he knew what to do. He kicked both of them in the head. This is where he hit a neck breaker right onto a neck breaker, a small package right onto Nicholas Jackson, while Mark Quinn, hilarious.